All right, it's time to rock. Audio sounds good in that half-second mini test I did. We got the hodler hat on. We are hodling. We are multi-streaming like a champion here on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube's. What's up, everybody? Bruno. As usual, if you want me to look at anything, just let me know. We'll get started here. Broadly, not too much to talk about. Intraday, we're up quite a bit into the afternoon. I guess because Nvidia's up. I don't know. We're still pretty correlated to risk on markets. We'll talk about that. Gold making a new all-time high today. What else we got going on? BTC still ranging. It is September. It is pre-election. I think the most hilarious thing would be everybody's like talking about Q4 seasonality being so bullish, and then we get to October, and October ends up being a disappointment because of the uncertainty in the election. And then after the election, then we start blasting off. That's a possibility. I don't know the percentage or odds on that, but just something else to think about. If October is a dud, like September might be, typically is negative for everything across the board. I wouldn't give up hope in October just because the election is such a big deal for markets, not necessarily for Bitcoin. It's a big deal for alts for sure, which is why I wouldn't want to be a turbo long alts going into the election unless you know for sure who's going to win. But on the BTC side, the cycle low historic performance of previous cycles, we are where we should be. So everybody's saying like it's over, we're late, it's an X translated cycle, Y translated cycle. That stuff to me doesn't really matter. All that matters is this. Where are we since the low? Where were we since the low in previous cycles? And how does that compare? And this looks pretty good. We've never hit an all-time high pre-halving like we did this cycle. So to look at the halving comparisons is kind of silly. It's never been this bullish pre-halving. But based on the cycle low, we are where we need to be. It's not like there's anything crazy here. Looking at days ahead, we're on day 660 from the low. 30 days from now, so October, right? This is like nothing crazy, nothing new. Everybody's been saying this for a long time. It just, you just gotta wait. Just gotta wait for Q4 to show up, for Q4 to be real. And then we go from there. But none of this looks particularly bearish on like the daily time frames. We'll take a look at that. There's not some mega, at least on the BTC spot. On MSTR, Coin, Solana, CleanSpark, that stuff looks a lot worse and or potentially worse than BTC does, but we'll take a look at that. The other chart that's worth looking at cycle-wise would be MVRV. This is really good at finding intra-cycle highs and lows. So what this does is looks at the market cap versus the on-chain realized price. And the TLDR of the TLDR there is just, is there unrealized profits or losses based on when coins were last moved? That's all you really need to think about with MVRV. You can massage this into, what's up, Rama? You can massage this into like short-term, long-term, whatever. I don't really care about that as much as just the broad overview. Do we have a ton of unrealized profit on chain or not? That matters especially for cycle highs. So sitting here now, MVRV, you can see in the orange, yeah, you can see that, has come all the way down from, on the Z-score, from 1.35 down to 0.3. So what does that really mean? That just means the realized price has crept up while actual price has crept it down. And that has meant less and less less and less unrealized profits on chain. And this is psychologically, you can just think, okay, how many people are up 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, 10x of multiples? And this goes for any coin, any stock, look at NVIDIA, right? You got Jensen, the CEO, selling, but he is up infinity multiples, right? And he's got a ton of stock to sell. So I can't really blame him. You can't fault him for that, but it just is what it is, right? It's when the market in aggregate is up multiples upon multiples upon multiples that eventually you hit a top, right? Because there's just so much selling. You take profit based on your unrealized profits, then your neighbor, and then his neighbor, and then her neighbor, and then your mother, sister, brother, father, right? Everybody starts taking profit, and there aren't enough buyers to come on the other side of that equation. The issue with MVRV is that, as you can see in 2017, like MVRV can run hot. It can give you this overbought signal and keep going. It can give you this oversold signal and still drop significantly. So it's not perfect, but it's a good little barometer just to see where we are. If we were in like the red zone of MVRV going into October, I would be a little more cautious relative to what it is now, right? We've reset, at least trying to reset, the speculative metrics here for profit taking. You know, who's left, who's here? It's probably people who are looking for higher prices. You know, it's not people who are caring so much about the downside as much as the upside. Works fine on Twitter. Thanks, Werner. Yeah. Rip Javi's NVIDIA puts. That's the thing about shorting something. In my argument for the risk off stuff, I would much rather long the risk off stuff more comfortably, sleeping soundly, than trying to pick a top in NVIDIA when the entirety of the world is focused on AI, making AI a thing, making AI usable, whatever, right? Everybody's spending gobs and gobs of money. So is it crowded? Is it toppy? Does it have product market fit? Are they going to spend more money than they make? Like all those questions I get, but to try to time the top on that is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. So the bond stuff to me is where it's at. Even though it's less sexy, it's less exciting, it's boring, I get it. But this is much more obvious to me than in shorting NVIDIA. You know, we're talking about multi-month, multi-year patterns, trend resets, trend reversals. So this stuff still looks really good to me. So MVRV BTC looks good. Nothing really to say there. The third metric that's going to matter, and when I talk about it, it's going to make sense relative to MVRV. If you look at, it's hard to see if I shut off, can I shut off like everything here? So this is, oh, there it is. So when we look at the ETF cost basis, is this correct? Yeah. So the ETF cost basis is basically the realized price in a way of ETF holders. So this is not all directional bets. Some of this is the arbitrage from the carry trade, or not the carry trade, but the basis trade. So it's not perfect one-to-one. But again, when we're talking about what is the multiple, let's say we go to 100K. What is that multiple relative to what people have been holding, right? And then what is their tolerance? What is their upside tolerance before they rebalance? Is it a time thing where they rebalance quarterly or yearly? Or do they have certain risk limits where this part of the portfolio is up 100% and they're going to have to rebalance some of that? We'll find out. Now, not everybody's number is going to be the same number, but again, this is like in aggregate. What is the average ETF holder's unrealized profit level, you know? So understanding, okay, the ETF cost basis is at 59.3. We're currently underneath that by $1,000. We're nowhere near crazy unrealized profits based on the cost basis of the ETFs. But we get into 100, 150, 200, 250, depending on what the cost basis is, very similar to MVRV, you know, what is the multiple there? I highly doubt we're going to be able to get to like a 5x multiple on the cost basis without mega profit taking. And the good news is we'll see that day over day. You know, if price keeps going up, much like MVRV, if price keeps going up like it did, can I zoom in on this maybe? There we go. If it goes up anything like it did in 2017, which is highly unlikely, it's going to, you know, turbo send like that, but probably more like 2020. If we start to see that and we still see outflows in the ETFs, that to me is a big sign that, okay, we've hit the number in whatever portfolio it is, whatever person is trading, whether that's a model portfolio or an advisor or an individual. And we have to be careful. We have to be careful up there, because that's when you start to see more sellers than buyers. So just something to watch if we do blast off into Q4. So the three things I care about: cycle, MVRV, ETF cost basis. ETF flows I don't really care about here. You know, you don't expect flows to be amazing when price has done nothing. Gold is literally hitting all-time highs, and those flows on the retail side are slim to none. So it's going to take probably a move above 65 to get flows back in a big way. And that's just how it is. You know, nobody cares about Bitcoin in the range. They love it at all-time highs, whatever. That's just the way it is, right? So price-wise, not much has happened, right? Not much is going on here week over week. If we look at the cloud on the daily, this is nothing. The cloud isn't really too helpful on the daily. It's giving you a bunch of fake outs on both sides of the equation. Going to the 2-day makes a little bit more sense to me, because we're still in the cloud. In the cloud is indeterminate. This could reset completely. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, right? You just have to wait and see. But there's nothing here that says we can't keep going. There's nothing here that says we can't break down. You just have to wait. It's part of the waiting game. You're just waiting for confirmation one way or the other. Higher highs, and we're back in it. We're so back. Lower lows, and it's over. That's pretty much it for BTC at the moment. And I don't think you could even try to guess where this is going, just based on the chart, just based on technicals. We can look at moving average crosses. We can find support. Like, we can do all that stuff, and that's important to do before the move. But to try to use that to guess where the move is going to go, I don't think is too relevant at all. We're below the 50. We're back at the 200, right? Is that the 200 or the 20 week? So we're well above the 200. We're back at the 20 week. It's just a bunch of garbly. That's the daily, the 2-day, my bad. All right, let's start over. 50, 200, we are below both, below the 20 week. That makes a lot more sense to me. So this is not a bullish picture either, based on moving averages, right? We're below everything we need to be above. And until we get back above those levels, you can't just expect a miracle. So it's going to take time. And being bearish has obviously worked. That's been the default position. That's made money, arguably. Even here, being bearish makes more sense just based on positioning on the trend metrics, but it's not like it's a slam dunk until we're out of this channel. You know, sometimes it's boring. We are in it. We are in it. Much like we were down here, I think why people are losing their collective minds is because at least down here, we didn't just make an all-time high. We weren't post-halving. We weren't post-ETF launch. What else is going on now? It was a lot quieter down here, you know, at least to me. There wasn't really much going on. Whereas here you'd expect, I think, on balance, you expect a little bit more price action than we've seen, at least to the top side. But you got to remember, we saw billions coming out of Germany, Gox, Genesis, whoever else was selling up here. So that's why I think it's different for a lot of people. But this is the same time period, March to October. And that was October 23rd. That was the end of October when we finally made a higher high. But this was, again, pre-halving, so it was a little different, pre-ETFs. But before times. This stuff here, October 23rd, brings us, you know, that's another month. That's another month, and that's pre-election. So there's still a lot of stuff that could happen between now and the election for sure. So everything else downstream, crypto-wise, relies on this. That includes all of the miners. That includes all of the other beta, MSTR, right? We're talking about everything. Everything relies on BTC having a direction for a decent move. So until we're at the very least above 61, I think it's very hard to be serious about anything, right? Like we didn't really do anything until we broke the high at 31 in October. So I don't think we really do anything until we break 65, even though 61, things are going to look a lot better. For sure. I don't know if there's anything else on the daily. We still have a cup and handle. We still have like, you know, all these crazy targets of like 300K based on the power law or the cup and handle. All that stuff still exists. It's not like any of that's gone away. It's just we're not ready. We're not ready to break out yet, you know? If I can find, let me just find the other one real quick. There it is. Looking for the power law corridor. You can pull that up on TradingView as well. This, along with MVRV, ETF cost basis, cycle, whatever, right? This gives you a level of 350. I don't think we'll see 350 this cycle. But if you're eating the chop and you're DCAing here, you don't really care when it happens. You're just under the assumption that we're headed to six figures eventually. And I think that's a fair assessment. But it's not going to happen anytime super, super soon. On the legacy side, so gold breaking out today, probably because of this, at least partially, you got to assume the debt stuff on the US becoming more apparent. This is a pretty big deal. Spending $1 trillion for the first time. On interest, that's a big milestone. And then you've got this, which is the budget deficit estimation was off by 90 billion. So it just appears as though the spending stuff is out of control. And it clearly is. It clearly is. Nobody cares. Both sides don't really care. So that could be why bonds took a puke today. The PPI number could be why bonds took a puke. I don't know. But trueflation is almost sub 1%. The main reason why this is so different than CPI is the way the housing component is calculated. It's a 34% weighting in CPI. It's a 25% weighting in trueflation. it's 6 to 9 months behind in CPI based on how they calculate it. So this is real time. CPI is not. It's just important to keep that in mind. But the direction on this has been accurate. Down. That's been the direction. That's been the direction. So there's so many people saying like, oh man, I see two kinds of people. Sometimes it's the same person. They say inflation's going to come back, spending is out of control, which it is, right? Obviously, right? Inflation is going to come roaring back. But at these rates, at these macro conditions, whatever you want to justify it, we're not seeing that. And this is as sensitive as it gets for inflation metrics, at least year over year, right? So we're not seeing that yet. That doesn't mean we can't see that, but we're not seeing it in the data. And then you've got the other side of the equation that's saying, you know, oil's below 70. This is a recession. Okay. That's why they're taking rates down. I don't know. It's like, what are you going to do? You got to do something. True inflation looks like EPTC. That's true. That's true. One other thing I wanted to mention before I get to alts was NVIDIA. So NVIDIA on the legacy cloud has this crazy looking potential. I talked about this 2 weeks ago, Sunday, about this wacky looking inverted head and shoulders stuff. Still on the table. The cloud on the daily says yes, bullish. So it's going to be very interesting if we've got NVIDIA breaking 125, 127, 130. Bitcoin still ranging. We got gold breaking out. Something's got to give eventually on the crypto side. You'd think. And for the AI coins like FET probably doing well because it's AI adjacent, at least in the market. I have no clue what this coin actually does, but it's definitely done better than most alts, as has Ocean, as has, what's the other one? I forget. There's another one. Anyway, the AI stuff. Like, these charts look great on the daily. You look at anything else right now, it kind of looks junky, you know? Near, I guess, would be another one. But even Near, to me, doesn't look as good as FET, Ocean. I guess FTM was the other one. So as long as NVIDIA can do well, is this a Harris hedge trade? Is this a Democrat? I don't know. I have no idea what's going on here other than the technicals are favorable for bullishness if we can break 125, 126. The other thing on the AI side of things, Cores also, if I can find Cores, the miner, this thing looks ready. This thing is ready to go for new all-time highs. It's been sitting here for a couple months at this level. This to me looks like a head and shoulders all day. So this is another one that's both Bitcoin / AI, data center, utility, whatever, right? It's got its toe in both worlds. And out of all of the miners, this one to me looks the best. CleanSpark, IREN, all of these are chopping around. Wolf also looks okay, not as good as Cores to me, but Wolf also has a case of Adam and Eve potential, bullish TK cross, price above cloud. Like I could see this doing better. But CleanSpark, IREN, Mara, Riot, Bitfarms, Cypher, BTBT, Hut, Hive, all these are the same chart. They're all the same chart. What was this? Agree? No. STIG's going to get acquired, so it's going to be gone pretty soon as a chart. But all the other miners outside of Coors and Wolf, I should just move these to the top. All these other ones can't really hold a candle to what Coors and Wolf look like. If BTC can break out, again, if BTC can get bullish, the BTC beta will do very well, at least it should, theoretically. Then you'd start to see these double bottom, triple bottom, whatever. But it doesn't look like that's guaranteed here. You know, this clean spark, you could see this into October. That'd be something to watch for. I just think it's a little early to assume that these are going to hold those levels. That's all. Cardano. If you're not AI, if you're not gold, BTC, like you are not doing so hot. Stacks is another one, just in the periphery. You know, it's not alt season. It's not like you can just spray and pray and get a 10x. But there are some of these charts that are starting to look better. Stacks, along with FET, FTM, I put those in that category. This is FET. Again, it looks good. There's no denying. It looks good. I just don't know how well it's going to do in the current environment. That's all. Ripple had an announcement. Grayscale's launching a trust. This thing is still mega range bound. So there's not really much to do there. Doge, very much in the falling wedge camp. But Charles will pump his coin. I don't know about that. I just think there's too much coin in circulation. You know, when you're the creator of a coin and you're posting a video of you in a Lambo, that probably leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. I'm just saying. So I don't know. I have no problem with people who create something doing well. It's just, man, I don't know. That's not a good look, in my opinion. I'll come back to see it, TLT, Ben. Sui's another one. Some of these have started to look pretty good. Now, I know Sui had some, like, Rule Paul, but whatever, I forget his thing. Anyway, he mentioned it, like, in August or something, and there was a bunch of people saying, oh man, this is the one. It's pulled back, broke out again. It looks good on the cloud. It's probably one of the best looking alts on the daily cloud right now. Full stop. Outside of Aave, this looks very, very good. Very curious to see how this is going to hold this level into next week. But looking for an alt that meets my trend conditions, that looks really good. Say not quite, right? And if you took 100 alts and you tried to, like, put them in a tier list or something, right? Like, this one is the most bullish, this one's the least bullish. I prefer to trade stuff like Sui than anything else that hasn't moved yet, right? Clearly, it's on the top of the volume list here. I don't care what's going on fundamentally with it, but people are trading it. The same thing with FET, the same thing with FTM. I don't care anything about the fundamentals here. But these charts look pretty decent. They look pretty decent. Aave's been moving up. It's just historically very slow. So I don't have an issue with it, other than if you're going to trade an alt, you probably want something that's going to move quicker than Aave. Aave, for what, 4 years, it was basically below 100, and now it's at 140. I don't know. It might take some time. Let me see if I can blow up I've got the restream chat in this window over here. So I'm trying to read. Can I not scroll down? Oh, that's awful. Goku said that Charles deserves the luxury. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to pay for his Lambo, if that's what you're wondering. All right, so that's Aave. Like, the chart looks fine. I just think if you're trading alts, you want something that moves a little faster than that. Pepe. This one is in the, if I was making a tier list, this would be like C tier based on bullishness, right? There's no momentum. There's nothing here. I don't care that this can move a 40x. I don't want to be here until it starts moving. And we can say, all right, maybe there's a falling wedge here. Maybe there's actually like this broadening megaphone thing. And the cloud is giving you the same level. You want it at least to here to start to think about anything. Realistically, I want it up here. So to me, it just doesn't make sense. If I'm going to be actively trading an alt, I want the alt to be moving today. ADA is another one that maybe eventually soon something will happen here. I don't hate the idea. This is Kraken Pro, by the way, in case anybody has no idea what I'm looking at. I don't hate the idea of saying, all right, this thing has bled over 60% since March, and I want to take a stab. Fair enough. How would I do that? I would say your target should be about 50% of the move down. Your stop loss should be any lower low. And that's it. So that gives you a 2x risk reward. You know, as a trade idea, it's not sexy, it's not exciting. This might go higher, this might break out. In 10 years, it might never break out. I don't know, but that's an idea, right? It's not amazing. I'd rather trade Doge. Doge looks similar. I think Doge has more upside than ADA does. But I know there's a few ADA people in the chat for some reason. Helpful. I'll take a look at TLT in a second. But yeah, that's a trade idea. Is it amazing? No, but it's there. It's definitely there. Monero, I just don't think there's, similar to Aave, right? Like, are you trading Monero for the tech or because you think its number go up? Like, it hasn't really gone anywhere. So to me, it needs momentum. But yeah, it doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look terrible. Looks fine. AVAX also in this downward channel. And as you go deeper, not too much deeper, but as you go deeper on the list here, things start to get less and less interesting, you know? And you can see that in the volume. Volume just drops off like the Mariana Trench into nothingness. Whiff, there's nothing here yet. Link, nothing. Yeah, it's just way too choppy, too early. And yeah, you can say, hey, I think this is a W. I'm going to make a bet here. Again, I'm going to go long here, stop loss, new lows. I don't hate that stuff. It's just, that's not, I don't trade alts for that, you know? This could be your 2.5 risk reward. I don't hate that as a trade. I just would rather trade BTC or something else, personally. That's just me. Just catch up on chat. Render, edge to edge, match. Monero above 180 will go to 10K. I don't know about that. I think that's a little silly. And for the most part, I don't think there's anything on this list outside of those top names, just because, here's Ocean again, just because of the volume component, like it's pretty obvious usually where the market is. Here's Super, somebody just asked about this one. This looks okay. There's always a chance that this low volume, low market cap stuff creeps up the list enough to get enough people's attention that it sees people trading. But right now, when there's nobody here, I think that's tough, right? I think that's very tough. So you just got to keep that in mind. Is it impossible for this to do well? Absolutely not. But it's just tough. Doesn't look horrible. I've seen worse things. Anything else? Anything else? Let's see. I guess we can sort by. Somebody just asked about this. Drift. There is a. Says it's on Coinbase as well. Fresh listing. And this is where my exact point, like this stuff, by the time people see it, it's usually already moved. So it's like, okay, where does this go from here? Let's just say that this is a range. We measure it up. Maybe you can get a little bit more out of this. I'm kind of poo-pooing this like 45% move potentially, but the risk here is just infinity. You know, like I don't know why this is moving. I don't know why it should move. I have no idea. It's not really like the time for this stuff to move. I don't know if this is on base. I have no idea. I have no idea what this is. But yes, it is. It's up. Some of these alts are just a trap. It's breaking exchange listing highs. Yeah, that's fair. I just think you need to do a little bit more digging than just beyond like, oh, then why is this moving up? Like I saw this chart, Fufu, this miner. It's a cloud miner. I don't really know anything about this company. I just know that we had an alert set from a stream probably like 4 streams ago, and it broke out. And I was thinking about this today. I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know why this is moving. I saw there was some headline about some token 2049 Singapore, blah, blah, blah. Like, is that why this is moving? Do I really want to jump into this? So I decided against it. But the chart doesn't look horrible. And you could say the same thing about any altcoin, anything across the board. All right, lots of questions about TLT. So on the bond side of things, none of this moves slow or fast. Sorry, none of this is going to move fast. If it moves fast, it's usually not for good reasons. So this isn't so much about like this mega upside trade or downside, whatever. It's more about just sitting in something boring, waiting for an obvious trade elsewhere. That's why I like this complex the most right now. Just because these charts look better than just about everything that exists, arguably. Why? Because they've been just beaten to nothingness for years. And rates are coming down next week. That's it, right? We can play this game where we measure all of these to where we think they may go, and right, we can say like we want to hold till then. I really don't care about the targets here. I'm just holding this stuff until BTC does something. That's all I care about. But these look really good. It's undeniable. Undeniable. This is a multi-year consolidation breakout for the 1 to 3 year ETF. It's got minimal upside, right? But again, you're not here for some crazy upside. You're just here, in my opinion, to avoid nonsense chop elsewhere. That's it. So I really like TLT. I really like ag. I really like all this stuff. Something else you can do is this. Put TLT against BTC. And regardless of what this is in a vacuum, right now, TLT, clearly the favorable position relative to BTC right now. I want that to change. I hope that changes, but right now, TLT is where it's at. Now you can say, well, over time, Josh, this has been a terrible trade. And I agree. I don't know anything about 2 years from now on TLT. I'm just talking about until Q4. That's where I want to be. Until Q4. Or until BTC breaks out, whichever is first. So we'll see what happens next week when rates come down. But yeah, I still like, regardless of the debt situation, regardless of the issuance, all this junk, that's like a long-term problem. It's obviously horrible and terrible and will affect the day-to-day prices of stuff like TLT. But to me, it's obvious. Right now, BTC ain't the place to be. Not yet. Hopefully that changes. Everybody wants that to change. What else? BITO. What's going on with BITO? So BITO, what's the other one? BTC futures, all this stuff, IBIT, it's going to look pretty much the same. It's in this channel where you're bullish above the channel, bearish below the channel. I think that's about as far as you can go. We can say that there's something brewing here, but the thing is, even this pattern is pretty much irrelevant because it gets you to the same destination, which would be back above the daily cloud, out of this range. So it's good to see. It's better to see a bullish pattern brewing than a bearish pattern. I'll give you that. But until it's above 20, who cares? If you're asking like what's the target on BITO? Target on BITO is like 30 to 36 if this breaks up. And that'll expand and get adjusted based on the dividend, based on the premium on the futures. It's a little bit more complicated than just price because of the futures role there. If we look at BTC futures, it's the same thing. All these charts are the same. For BTC futures, the most generous interpretation would be 100K. Same thing, right? Was holding for the dividends on the BITO and his futures with the dividend increase. So it's my understanding that the BITO dividend is based on the futures premium. That's my understanding. It's way deeper than that, but for this purpose, that's my understanding. So you're not going to see that baked into price, but if you hit this ADJ button, which is off the screen because my head's in the way, that'll get adjusted for dividends. Those dividends should expand with the premium. So as long as there's a premium on the futures relative to spot, you should always get a dividend. That's my understanding. I just don't. My whole thing with the dividend argument is I'm not here to collect dividends. I'm here for price action on the underlying. But does it sweeten the pot for some people? I guess. If you don't adjust for dividends, this chart looks horrible, right? like you're just losing. You're down. What are you down? 50% since March. So yeah, the dividend has to be high to get you to sit in something like that. But I don't know what the answer is. Everybody wants like the best min-maxed. Like, what about MSTX? No one's asked me about this yet this stream, but what about MSTX, which is leveraged, soon to be 2x leveraged, potentially, MSTR? The time for this is not until we are above 70, in my opinion. You know, we need, if you're bullish on the leverage stuff, you really, really, really need the underlying to be obviously bullish. Now you could say, you know what, I don't care. I think we're going to break out. Look at everything that's happening. Okay, but if you're wrong, you got to be careful with that, because if you're wrong on MSTX, which is leveraged MSTR, which is leveraged BTC, right? Your leverage on your leverage on your leverage. You just have to be really careful with that. So again, I don't hate using this stuff as a trading vehicle, but I wouldn't just start loading the boat on the beta of the beta and assuming that everything's going to work out, you know, because that's a recipe for disaster. BITX, BITU also, I guess BITX is a better chart to look at. These haven't done anything, right? They're just sort of bleeding, which is what you'd expect. They need momentum. So nothing really to speak of there as far as a signal. That's why everything in the universe comes back to the BTC chart. Once BTC starts breaking out, I like the miners, I like MSTR, I like MSTX, I like BITX, I like all of it. All of it looks great. Even this one, poor man's MSTR. Poor man's MSTR SMLR. Even this one is something to think about, because they're loading the boat on BTC in their treasury. Sure, yeah, but we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet, but it's definitely something to think about and know that it exists as an option when we get bullish again. MSTR here, weekly looks fine. Weekly looks fine. What's odd about this is, can I get rid of this? What's odd about this is over here in 2021, this actually looked bullish to me. Looks like an inverted head and shoulders. It followed the rest of the market in 2022 and broke down. But up here, this actually looks bearish to me. This looks like maybe a head and shoulders. We can zoom in. Maybe this breaks down, maybe it doesn't. It's not quite obvious to me. Trend is not on your side yet, which is just another reason not to load up on MSTX, in my opinion, yet. You know, you want to see like 152 at the very least on MSTR. At the very least. Then I love MSTX, but we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet. Because then you can say cloud breakout, Adam and Eve, above 170, we start negating head and shoulders concerns. Not quite there yet. Not yet. Not yet. I guess I haven't really talked about Solana and ETH, but there's just like, what is there to talk about? Nothing really. You know, there's nothing to do or say until it breaks the range. It's just black and white. You want this above 190 to be serious about it. This is the MSTR chart, right? 162, 190. You're good. Below 125, it's over. that's pretty much it. And then ETH, there's nothing to say about ETH. Nothing good. This, I think, is it negative year to date, or is it, what's January? So this was the January open. It's slightly positive year to date. This chart's a mess. Absolute mess. Is there a reset on MSTX every day? I don't think so. You'd have to double check on that. I know there's some ETFs that are launching that are doing that. I don't think MSTX is one of them. Talked about BTC alts. ETH BTC, someone asked about. Does this look bullish to anybody? I don't think so. And you can say all you want about whatever. I've heard it all, right? It's been years at this point. I've heard everything anybody has to say. This does not look bullish. Breaking lows, holding at lows, slow bleed, below trend metrics. Sorry, it's just why? It is up to the bulls in ETH BTC to prove that this chart can turn around. This thing has only been in one direction since the merge, right? Basically. That's it. It's black and white. That's it. There's nothing else to say. Why bother sitting in this or thinking about this thing until it starts to show some strength? This doesn't make any sense. And we can say, is there a div? Maybe a little bit, a baby bull div there. Baby bull div. Is this a falling wedge? Is this a bull div, right? We can have those conversations, but I don't really care. This has to get above the cloud first to think about doing anything. What's the point? It looks so bad. It looks so bad. End of story. There's nothing else to say. Look at the 50 week. That's another level. We turn off everything else here. Cloud 50. Yeah. So that green line's a 50 week. That's the thing you need to be above. So somebody asked me on Twitter, where would I give bullish? I want to see 3 to 6 months of sideways first. And we're still crushing lows. So we're not even close. I don't care if this is the stone cold bottom. You don't know that. It's only been going down. So there's nothing else to say. Yeah, it could bounce at 0.39. I don't know. But there's so many other things to trade that look better. Why? Who cares? This thing is not going to randomly teleport to 0.1. It's just not going to happen. So that's it. It's not really worth thinking about, in my opinion. SOL BTC. We just had 6 months of sideways, says Goku. Did we, though? On ETH BTC? Did we? We had some chop. We had some extreme volatility. And the resolution of that was bearish. If this had broken up, which even I thought this would break up. You can watch the videos I talked about this in June. Even I thought this had a chance at consolidating there and breaking up. It just didn't, right? So we go lower, just like we did over here. We had very similar diamond bottom, volatility, crazy up, down, and then it broke down. Then it found a bottom, but we're not there yet. So, yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote. Not really much else to say. SOL BTC, really nothing going on there yet either. Just consolidating. Like everything else, you want higher highs. SOL ETH probably looks pretty good. This looks like an ascending triangle to me. Tried to break down, didn't. Let's just redraw the triangle. Why not? And you know, Slime is gonna come in here and say it's a rising wedge, man. I don't know about that, but so if I had to pick one, ETH BTC or SOL BTC, this thing clearly looks much more bullish than ETH BTC. You know, that's it. The cognitive deficit on ETH bulls is mind-boggling. Yeah, like, again, like, there's all these ETH narratives that so-and-so is doing such and such on ETH. Guess what? It doesn't matter. It hasn't mattered. And until it matters, what's the point, you know? You can follow any coin, be a part of any community. You don't need to have your entire life savings in that coin. So be smart about it. Be smart about it. SEI for a short? You must have missed my bullish say segment. I was saying there's a few coins that to me look decently okay. Say being one of them, FET, FTM, Ocean. There's a few of them, but you know, you want to short something that's down, already down 70%. I'm all about letting this thing drain another 70%, but I don't think now's the time for that. You were better off shorting at some obvious support than all the way down here, in my opinion. Yeah, Mikhail, I know what you're talking about. I don't think that's a feature, right? I don't think that's what they're doing on MSTX. All right. We've moved on. We've moved on to legacy. We just have to wait, says Rom. I agree. People are asking about metals. We'll take a look at that. I wish I could scroll. I can't scroll on the restream chat for some reason. He wanted to ask you, initial rate cuts could lead to a sell-off. Can rate cuts lead to a sell-off? You know, you've probably seen like 10,000 different versions of that chart. Rate cuts are always bad. They're bad because they're always panic cuts. They're bad because it always leads to a recession. And you can have an idea and a thesis of where we might go. And that's part of the reason why I'm allocated at all into risk off stuff. I'm just waiting for the all clear signal. So I don't have to guess. I don't have to play this game where our rates getting cut, good or bad. I don't really need to know that answer. I'm just trading what's in front of me, right? So I don't really have a good answer for you because I don't really care. You're just waiting to see what happens. Match. Did you say why you like this, Mr. Match person? I don't think you did. I'm just always curious. It isn't online dating dead? Isn't swiping dead, chat? Isn't that dead? Isn't it over? That's what I was told. I've been told. I can see why you are highlighting this chart. From a trend perspective, I don't hate it. It reminds me of PayPal. Same vibe. Anything that's down, at least he's not coming in here asking me to short, right? Anything that's down, it's down 80%. Yeah, I like it better, slightly higher, a little bit more momentum. Like if we look at PayPal, I would love to see something like this for that chart. Just a little bit, just a little shove, higher highs, just a little bit of something, a little bit of something. TMF. Yeah, I think, I forget which one I actually own. If I own TYD or TMF. So these are leveraged treasury plays. I don't know how much more is left in either of these. The technicals would suggest this could have a decent upside remaining. I just don't know. I do own one of these, I forget which, but both those charts look good to me. For the same reasons TLT looks good. Mitch is consolidating. People still pay for Tinder, Hinge. Yeah, I don't hate it. And just because I'm not like praising it doesn't mean, like everything else, there isn't a trade that is worthy of taking. You could say anything that is at local lows, near local lows, it's always the same for me. You say, okay, that's the level. The level's like 30. If it gets below 30, I'm out. Anything above 30, I love. I don't know what the, we can measure this. We can say, we'll be generous. We'll say that level. That's like, it's a crazy risk reward, right? So if you've got a defined risk reward that you like as a trade idea, yeah, I don't hate it. As a trend trader, I would prefer to see this have a little bit more strength first, but that's, that's a trade, right? That's a trade. On the daily, daily's kind of been too noisy. I don't know, but it's a trade to think about. When I'm doing stuff like this that I like, I always like to buy a little bit of something. That way it's on my list. I pay attention to it. I've got skin in the game. It's like one more step to being fully committed. KWeb is another example of this, where this chart has done nothing for years. This is the Chinese internet ETF. Tons of bad news coming out of China in regard to recession and stimmies, maybe eventually. But this chart doesn't look good. It's gone nowhere, right? Why would I care about this thing? I just like that it had this head and shoulders thing, and now it's kind of stuck in no man's land limbo. So I've got a position. I'm not adding to that position, but yeah, your match idea is probably better than this. So I wouldn't follow me in KWeb, just as an example. Yeah, Titan, I did talk about FET. I like anything with a pattern, anything with defined risk reward. It's clearly got the AI headwind, whether or not it's real or not, I don't care. The market doesn't care, right? It's trying to reverse. You may see this push fail and get another shoulder into Q4. So that's something to consider, not to just like give up on this. You never want to see lower lows, which is roughly like $1. So my stop loss, if I was trading this, would be at $1. And you just wait, right? Down 60-70%, ranging, trying to make a higher high, pretty good looking pattern. Has AI on its side. right? That's it. IBIT looks like everything else. If I can find that on my list. It trend-wise, it's gone nowhere. Spot has gone nowhere, so there's no reason this is going to randomly pop. You want this, I don't know, I guess above 36? Above 36 and we're closer to free and clear. One thing to keep in mind outside of the fees, this is tough to find, but IBIT does have a bigger premium on the ETF than, like, let's say a BitB, for example. The charts may look similar, it may pan out equally, but trading between all of these, if you're like looking for one, it's something to think about. I've only seen Balchunas tweet out that information, but for whatever reason, despite the volume on IBIT, they have, I thought, a bigger premium. It's not huge, it's not massive, but it's a little bit bigger than the rest of them. Someone's asking about XME, metals and mining. What do you like about it? I don't know what there is to like about this chart, personally. Again, I think people fall into this trap where they assume the leveraged beta stuff is going to be bullish because the underlying is bullish because of XYZ fundamental. This could happen with the Bitcoin mining cadre if we break out as well. Just because gold is bullish does not mean these companies are bullish. I mean, let's look at GDXJ. GDXJ looks much better to me than XME does. I don't know the difference in the holdings there. But does this look better than gold? No. like look at gold. Gold is just, it's zooming. It's zooming. I don't know why this is that people are like, and I'm not saying this is the person asking about this chart, but they probably own gold, whatever. But people are like, okay, I missed this move, so let me see what else I can trade. That's adjacent, I don't know. But that metals and mining chart did not look great. This is one that Vainsky told me about a couple weeks ago, WPM. This thing looks great still. What else we got? UGL, which is leveraged gold, also making an all-time high, I believe. On the chart there. So gold looks great. And that's good for BTC 3 months from now, which is typically when we see gold BTC moving. This is a little bit of a kind of like a parabola rising wedge thing going on to it. XME, if you're already in a winning trade, what is it even? I don't even know how to answer that question with this chart. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. I mean, you gotta believe in the heart of the cards, Yugi. I don't know. I don't like that it's making lower lows. It made a series of lower lows here, so if we turned on something like Williams fractals, those would tell you trailing stop loss was at 57, another trailing stop loss at 54, an earlier trailing stop loss at 58. That's not really a great sign to see making lower lows. Ben's upset with chat. He says, why are most of these listed tickers in chat, dumpster dives. I don't know, Ben. Some people just like to come and talk about their portfolio, you know? Here you are portfolio shaming people for, for trading dumpster stuff. Somebody else is asking about AMRK. AMRK. What do we like about this chart? All-time high. So you've got a defined range, you've got fibs. So I like, we haven't seen too much of this recently with crypto because crypto's gone nowhere. Those of you who have watched my videos will know I like the Williams fractal trailing stop losses. So if we go to the daily, you can just type in hello, TradingView. You can just type in WF, they pop up. So in this one, you don't want to be making lower lows. You're not, so that's good. I don't know, like this looks fine. Looks fine for more. That's all there is to really say. Looks good. Fresh breakout. You don't want this breaking like 35. You probably get a trailing fractal at 42 eventually. But yeah, looks good. Looks good. Yeah, for SOL BTC, I just said it's going nowhere. Nowhere anytime soon. SOL is beta to BTC. Most of the time. So you may see this stuff start to outperform once BTC looks better. Maybe, but we're not there yet. Whatever this level is, 0028. Then it should look a little bit better. Sure, Jerry. So if we go to a clean chart, let's pick TNA. TNA is leveraged IWM. So you put them on the chart, right click, go to settings. I turn off the trend line. I switch the fibs to these 0, 0.5, 1, 2, and then those aren't fibs. So these are really just levels, but 618 and 1618 are fibs. And then I switch this to use one color, white. I turn off the background. And then I set the labels to the right. And then I set fib levels based on log scale. I have that checked on because everything that I'm looking at is in log scale. Someone's asking about RA. So I guess since we're here, this chart still looks good to me. It's, you know, it's IWM, so you got to keep that in mind. It's not like it's amazing, but as a trade idea, it's got defined risk reward. It's boring, right? It's we look at the IWM chart. Much like everything else right now, it's funny that this kind of looks like NVIDIA. You know, this is the NVIDIA fractal on the daily, but IWM above like 219, 220, we're in the home. We're free and clear, whatever that saying is. So just as a trade, that's why I like it. You know, that's it. Simple, boring. Same thing with LabU. Simple, boring. This is leveraged biotech. It's always the same. It's never really different with me. I'm always looking for specific things. This looks like TLT. This looks like PayPal. This looks like a lot of stuff, right? You got to be careful with these leveraged ETFs because the fees will eat you alive. The volatility drag will eat you alive. This isn't like a long-term hold. This is just a breakout trade, hopeful into rates coming down. Roblox. Roblox? Am I saying that right? I'm always self-conscious because there's a right way and a wrong way to say this company. And I don't think I say it correctly. No problem, Jerry. This chart's also, again, I don't really care what this is. I know what this is, but it's undeniable that this thing looks primed. It looks primed. I don't know. Like, am I alone here? Am I alone in this trade? Like, would you rather trade this or Solana? Row? Row. Okay. Row blocks. Row blocks. Row your blocks. Row blocks. You know, like, think about any alt chart that I just showed you. Not that I'm trying to shill this company or position, but this chart to me looks phenomenal. Phenomenal. 5,200 bull cross, ready to make new 52-week highs. Looks good. Yeah, but the tech. All I'm saying is I like the chart. That's all I'm saying. Similar to Match, this is Newegg. And I feel like there's a lot of this junk sitting out here. Like, do I think this recovers? I don't know. But it's something to watch. Somebody brought this up a couple weeks ago. RKLB OXO. What's OXO? Is that a... I don't think it's that. Oxford Biomedicals. Kind of reminds me of Carvana before the breakout. Man, what a chart. When and if this thing breaks down, it's probably going to be like bankruptcy related, even though I think their debt situation has gotten better. What a chart. Almost a 2-year rising wedge. Crazy. 0x0, I don't know what that is. You got to give me a better, is that the actual ticker? Is it this? Maybe Adam and Eve? Maybe? It's nothing crazy impressive at all. Thanks, Dave. The pumps are here. What's up, Gosp? Dixie. Take a look. What's Dixie up to? Oof, big down. Javi. Where's Javi? Javi's got some splaining to do. This could still end up breaking higher. Not bullish today, though. Not bullish today. Still above 100. VTRS. VTRS. What is this? What is this? Is this a EV company? What is this? I only say that because it looks like Lucid. If we pull up the Lucid chart, looks very similar. Lucid's another one that, sure, right? Look, it's been beaten down. Maybe this goes into bankruptcy. I don't know. As a trade idea, it's there. It's there. DVP? DVP on the ASX. Assuming it's not crypto, just range bound. Nothing going on there. Let's look at the rest of Mag 7 real quick. Apple, man, there hasn't been a trade on Apple since, where is it at? Since down here? I would not want to fool around with anything up here. Microsoft doing its best to negate the Head and Shoulders possibility. Not free and clear just yet, but it's looking better here, certainly. I just don't think, like, is there a trade there? I don't think so. Meta. I still love this chart. There's got to be a leveraged Meta ETF. I don't know why. Maybe it's AI related. Maybe it's Instagram, Facebook. I don't know. But this chart continues to look very, very good relative to the rest of the pack. Anything above 538 looks good. Netflix, I don't really have anything to say. Just up chop. Amazon, similar to Microsoft, just ranging. The cloud likes it today. I just, like, all of the Mag 7, there has to be a pretty compelling case to say, I want to jump into these here, I think. Just because they're up so much. Amazon less so, but Google, disaster. I don't see anything there. Tesla had this low time frame inverted head and shoulders. Still looks fine-ish. I don't know. I just think there's better places and things to trade. Uber's putting in that right shoulder. So that's going to be interesting if it gets back to 72. Good little case study for chart patterns, all-time high retests, and beyond. IGV looks very, very good, along with Meta. Same idea. It's at resistance. It's at all-time highs. It has a chart pattern in the works. I don't want to delete this, but I'll just move it over. I like IGV. I have some IGV. It's a tech software ETF. Yeah, guys, don't you know? Charles had 3 Lambos before he did Cardano. I don't even care. Nothing good has happened on Cardano. It's up to the Cardano people to prove that there's stuff going on that people care about. Full stop. End of story. That's been the case for years on Cardano. Years. Anyway, IGV looks good. This goes back to the alt conversation. Like, would you rather trade this or ETH? Pretty easy choice. Hack also looks decent. This is a cybersecurity ETF. SMH probably trying to cancel out the Head and Shoulders. A lot of this stuff, like the Mag 7 relative value conversation, it's like, yeah, this can keep going. But if we're talking about a chart that's at 160 equivalent on SMH versus double that, I don't know. I just like to take the stab elsewhere. It's like this move's happened. Doesn't mean this can't reconsolidate and go again and do well. It's just, I don't know. I just like trades elsewhere. That's all. That's all. What else? What else we got? We talked about fixed income. We talked about, I guess we didn't talk about the Qs. I don't think the index is super exciting here. It looks okay. It's consolidating. I made this like Costco comparison. Was that last week? Like we could be here on the Qs. It could be a while before we see anything constructive to the upside. Just in consolidation for a little while. Costco looks ridiculous. Just a slingshot. Just insane. The S&P also. Maybe this breaks up, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I don't think there's like a super compelling case. But yeah, all-time highs are bullish. That wouldn't be terrible. Wouldn't be terrible. Looking at the chart, would you place OP in that tier below? Similar to say. OP. I think my issue with the layer 2s is there's just so much issuance. But yeah, the chart doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look terrible. I don't know. It looks fine, right? It looks like the others that look like this. It looks okay. It's breaking out of this channel. It's got some consolidation down there. Can I not? There we go. Breaking out of this trend. I don't know. It's just kind of lukewarm. Meh. KNT, is that crypto? I don't know what that is. KNT. We love our miners, don't we? Is this what we're talking about? People love their miners. Doesn't look terrible. I'll give you that. I just feel like when you're dealing with the commodity versus a miner, this is the same with Bitcoin miners. You're dealing with all of the red tape and whatever else when it comes to the company itself. This kind of looks like BTC in a way. It's got this broadening wedge thing. I don't know. I like it better above 9, but it doesn't look terrible. Pfizer and Hood. Pfizer had some positive news about some vaccine approvals. It didn't make a lower low, so that's good. That's about it, right? Like it's not super exciting. I don't know. I don't like an entry here. It's not exciting. I own a bunch. That's it. There's a dividend on it. Back to like hiding out in places. This chart looks fine, right? It looks fine. Doesn't blow your hair back, but it looks fine. Looks fine. Hood I have on here. So we drew this head and shoulders on Hood last week, I think, and it's trying to break up. So it's really good if you're bullish. This chart, it looks fine, right? It is trying to negate breaking down. The cloud likes it. That's about it. It's not for me. I'd rather trade other stuff, but it looks fine. It looks fine. I already traded this. Joey, quiet. Don't FUD my Pfizer position. It looks fine. I don't have any anymore, but I did at one point. Super. I'm assuming you mean the crypto. Yeah, we looked at this earlier. Yeah, it looks okay. It's got this thing to it. I'm surprised nobody's asked me about BNB. BNB is so symmetrical, it looks like somebody's painting the chart. AKA manipulation. Like this looks ridiculous. About as ridiculous as it looked here when I liked it and it broke out and then broke down. Ridiculous as in just like too perfect, right? I don't know where this goes, but I would watch it above 600. 600 to 700, that is a great trade. Great trade. Ton is another one. Is that on my list? Ton was looking very, very heavy. Yeah. This could recover. Maybe it doesn't. It's got a lot of regulatory headline stuff to think about here. I don't know. I just, again, like, it's just easier to trade something that hasn't moved 300% since March. When everything else was pulling back, Ton broke out. It did excellent. 300%. Now is just a time to trade other stuff, in my opinion. Doesn't mean this can't do well in the future. I just think there are easier trades elsewhere. GOSP also fudding my Pfizer position. Do you think I get a chance to accumulate CAE below 10? Is this another miner? Man, people just love their miners. Below 10? It's at 18, bruv. Below 10. If this is the right chart, why are we even trading this, number one? I don't know. I don't know. This chart's a mess. Absolute mess. Not a miner? Is it the right company? I mean, okay, there's that one. That's a miner. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but this chart is all over the place. I have no idea. No opinion. There's a pretty big resistance level there. But below 10? Below 10? Below 10. That would take quite the move below 10. I don't think you're going to see that anytime super soon. AIZ. AIZ. Is this insurance? Cup and handle, right? Boop. I don't actually know what this is. But it has a crazy target if it can continue. Cloud likes it on the daily. Pattern looks real. Yeah. If you are convinced it's going to keep going, it freshly broke out, so it's not like the by teasing the neckline or whatever, the resistance support level is that big of a deal. So I don't hate it. Insurance. Yeah, CNH. Yeah, Adam, I don't know. Ready for price discovery. No, I think charts like this, similar to IGV. I mean, look at SMH, right? SMH. The pattern, it's a 2-year pattern. You got to give it some time to do its thing. That's not to say like don't have this on a short leash or whatever, but even SMH, in the beginning, it pulled back to 164 and then it kept going. You often see this where you sort of retest resistance, make sure it's support. But yeah, we talked about this. I'm sure there's videos of me talking about this in October 2023 because I traded this to like 212. It's the same rationale. It isn't sexy AI semi chips or whatever this is, but The chart looks good. That's the difference between SMH and something like this, where similar to like we're talking about the top 10 alts versus the top 100, there just isn't a lot of attention at the bottom of this list, right? like Pendle or Big Time or whatever. Similar to semis versus insurance, there's just more eyeballs on insurance. That's all. But yeah, this one looks just as good as IGV and Hack. Like all these look really good to me, for sure. You could even do like AIZ divided by SMH, and you're starting to see potential strength ish. I think I just think the money's going to go elsewhere. It's just looking for a new home. We can do software versus semis. That's a popular one to look at as well. It's just relative value, you know, just like the altcoins, same thing. MDT? Medtronic. Okay. Yeah. It's got the triple bottom down there. It's got neckline breakout. It's medical devices. Yeah. Looks good. Looks good. Checks all my boxes. Definitely looks good. Oklo. Somebody asked about Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab. Yeah. It looks fine. Is it exciting? I don't know. Is it like pre-breakout? Maybe. Is it turbo speculative? Yeah. You've also got UFO, the space ETF. It's like, you know, would I rather trade this or leveraged IWM? I think it's important to just think about all your options here. Maybe a little early to trade UFO or Rocket Lab, but the charts look okay. This is space ETF. The charts look okay. Oklo, somebody's asking. Oh man, what a chart. What's going on here? I just don't know why. Looks like it needs to find Jesus first. I don't know. Chart looks horrible. Horrible. It's like ETH BTC, same thing. You know, you want to see some consolidation. You want to see a bottom something. I was looking at this. This is Chrysler Stellantis. I was looking at this chart, similar reason. I don't think there's a trade here yet. It went from 30 to 15 in a couple months. 15 was a historic support resist level, but it hasn't quite done anything here yet. You know, like this may morph into something, but I don't think it's quite ready. And that's how I feel about the Oklo chart. Like, yeah, it's down a lot, right? But I think it needs to consolidate first. RHM, LMND, Roblox, Rollbit, Roblox. Everything is Roblox. RLB. Rollbit. I love exchange tokens. That's sarcasm. What's going on here? It's higher, it's up. I don't have a good opinion. You know, we're talking about like BNB, What are the others? GMX. I just feel like there's a lot of funny business that goes on with these exchange tokens. I just think it's better to trade something else. But yeah, this is coming out of a huge downtrend. If I don't like the exchange, I'm not going to like the token for the exchange. So RHM. Looks okay. I don't know. What do you like about it? Just all over the place. Is this a German miner? We've gone outside of the US for miners now. We're going from Canadian miners to German miners. This chart actually reminds me of cores. And I would just rather trade cores than that one. This chart looks stupid good to me. And if it breaks out, it looks even better. I like that NVIDIA's breaking out. This is, again, AI data center. I don't have any yet, but it looks very good. It looks very good. It's held this level for a couple months. And Cloud likes it. I do not like this company. I do not like the history of this company. But the chart looks very good. What about Ripple asks? Pontoon King. Ripple we briefly talked about in the beginning. Nothing really to do on this until it's above 66 cents, at least in my book. It doesn't have a history of doing anything. The trust stuff from Grayscale, okay, but it doesn't have a history of going anywhere. So it is on Ripple, the token, to make a higher high, to prove that people are here buying it. Not seeing that. This is just giant chop, you know. German military company. Oh, well, there we go. That doesn't really change anything, but thank you for the clarification. It looks okay. It looks okay. So it's like this or like Lockheed Martin, right? What's Lockheed? LMT? What is this chart even? It's just kind of noisy, but also straight up. Military industrial complex, baby. I don't think it's a buy up here, but it's a chart. It's a chart. Anything else? Any other last requests? KRE, I don't think there's anything exciting there. Just chop, that's regional banks. Copper, more like chopper, am I right? Chat, am I right? Nothing going on there. Maybe a W at 44, but not here. Doesn't look like anything. XLE, I'm still in this godforsaken trade. I don't know why. It's just horrible. I think the idea probably over. Do not like seeing this make lower lows below 85. Not good. Not good. Not good. But it is good that this, here's the thing, to offset the portfolio. If this did break out, everything else would probably be down. So that's probably a good thing because I don't own a lot of this, but I own more of everything else. AVAX. Yeah, we talked about it. There's just a lot of layer 1 charts that are downward channel. Nothing exciting yet. Nothing exciting yet. Bitcoin Geekend. I haven't heard that name in a long time. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know. I feel like some of these people are here for a cycle and then they just kind of dissolve into the ether. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. Anyway, I think that's all I got for today. Not too much going on. Nothing super exciting. The best charts of the stream. We should start to do this. Best charts of the stream. Obviously, Roblox. Obviously, that chart looks really good. IGV looks really good. Cores. I keep plugging. Cores looks good. TLT, the bond complex looks good. What else? Anything? Gold. I mean, gold's just doing gold things. Looks fine. Smash that like button. That's right. If you're watching this on Twitter on the recording, if that's even possible, just let me know. I don't even know if that's possible. Tilray. I think the marijuana stuff is just, you know, again, like you need to, it's on, the proof is on the bulls to do anything here. This chart looks dead. DEAD. So we can guess, like ETH we can guess that this might be a bottom and you can take that trade. I don't have issues with that. It's defined risk reward, right? Here's your entry. I don't know, pick a target, 4, okay. Your entry's there, your stop loss is 150. Like, yeah, like you could take that trade. Trend is not on your side. Price action not on your side. You may be sitting in this thing for months, but you know, yeah, that's a trade you could take. Is there a probability that this thing plays out? I'd want to see a little strength first. Many moons ago, I did similar with Hood. Hood, I was in and out and back in, back here in 2023. I think I was in here, I was out here, and I got back in somewhere in here. Something like that. I don't hate that as a trade. I just don't think realistically that stuff that looks like Tilray is going anywhere anytime soon. Just like I liked Hood at 13 better than 8. I like Tilray at 2 better than 150 or whatever it is, you know. What is your BTC price position? Exactly 1 year from today. Do we touch 300? Exactly 1 year. Well, according to Twitter, my account says 333K by July 2025. So I guess that's my prediction. My prediction is 333K by July 2025. If we break up, let me find the chart. Last chart, then we'll leave. We'll get out of here. If we break up, the target is simple, just like it was here, by the way. This target back here in 2023, the breakout was roughly 40, 30, 37 to 40. If you'll remember back here, if we zoom in even more, I know I talked about this because I traded it. There was this ascending triangle, right? And so the measured move of the previous range this time last year was 36 to 39. We had a reconsolidation there. That broke out, measured again, 41 to 43, and the rest is history. So we could see something similar this time around, where we get the breakout to somewhere around 100-ish, and then we see what happens. Then we see what happens. So until this fails, until this consolidation fails, aka breaks down, I don't think you can be bearish. I really don't. I really don't. So that's why I like upside. Rates coming down, liquidity up, post-halving, ETFs, all the fun stuff. Anyway, but the first step, making a higher high, then we can start talking about six figures, because then you get more money, more attention. People are going to love. People don't know about Bitcoin at 58, but they're going to love it at 76. Let me tell you. Last question from Jerry. Do you use any risk levels, or you just go off fibs? For targets? If we have a range or a pattern or anything like that, I just use fibs on the initial breakout stuff. And then after that, on the breakout, I'll switch to Williams fractals. This is a really great spot for that. Oops. Back here, we talked about this inverted head and shoulders, cloud breakout, great. You didn't get a single Williams fractal until the very top. We never broke below those fractals. So this setup tells you to get in at 43, tells you to hold at 51, and then it tells you to finally get out at 67. So the trade was 43 to 67. We could see something similar like that to 100. But you have to see the chart, the candles first. So this is the trailing stop loss stuff that I use for breakouts. All right. Talk to you guys and gals Sunday. Hopefully